Which brings us to the next chapter in the story of urbanism in downtown Santa Monica, the revival of downtown as a residential community. In my opinion, possibly not shared by many, the most important individual during the past 20 years in the continued evolution of downtown Santa Monica was a developer named Craig Jones, long gone from Santa Monica. Jones came up with a formula in the mid-90s when Santa Monica and LA was mired in a deep recession that made some creative connections between a few of Santa Monica's land use policies and which enabled Jones to develop a new housing type for Santa Monica. That type has now been replicated repeatedly in downtown. More than 2,000 apartments have been built, are under construction, or in the permit process. A large number of the units are deed restricted affordable. When Jones started developing, Santa Monica had an on-site affordable housing requirement. At least 30% of the units had to be affordable on-site, half to moderate income and half to low-income households. However, a developer could also satisfy the ordinance by building a development that had no low-income units if the project was 100% affordable to moderate income households. What Jones realized was that, given the relatively high income levels in the area, he could profitably develop apartment buildings using the 100% moderate income alternative and the city's double FAR bonus for building housing in commercial zones. The model Jones came up with put about 50 apartments over underground parking and a partial first floor of commercial space. Crucially, rents in Santa Monica were high enough to justify the cost of underground parking. Otherwise, Jones's model would not have worked either financially or urbanistically. As for design, initially the architecture was, shall we say, prosaic. But it got better through trial and error on the parts of the city and its architectural review board, developers, and their architects, nearly all of whom have been local practitioners. This is a photo of one of Jones's first projects on 6th Street. Independent of the look, two big problems of the early buildings became apparent quickly: the curb cuts and garage doors on the street, and the awkward ground floor commercial spaces, as illustrated by this picture. To remedy the first problem, the city changed the law to require garage entrances to be on the alley, and over time solutions were worked out for higher ground floor ceilings and for better entrances and shop windows. While perhaps none of the apartment buildings in downtown Santa Monica have achieved quote-unquote great architecture status, they are now uniformly more than serviceable. They may not be to everyone's taste, neither to that of traditionalists nor to that of the avant-garde, but they collectively establish a postmodern aesthetic for a new neighborhood, and the streets there are quite pleasant to walk on. Here are a couple photographs. On the other hand, the fact that the buildings had the same shape, 4 stories of apartments on top of 1 story of commercial, led to criticism that they were boxes. In response, the planning department hired the Roma Group, the same designers who had worked on the promenade of the Transit Mall, to study alternatives. Roma made recommendations to encourage courtyards open to the street and bigger windows by allowing taller heights, which would have entailed steel construction. But these new standards were never adopted, and to my knowledge, there has been, so far, only 1 steel frame building built downtown. It was a 6-story project located at the southeast corner of 6th and Broadway. Here's a photograph of that. The purpose of this talk has been to bring us up to about 2010 in the history of downtown Santa Monica. That was the year the city finished work on the updates to the general plan, after which Santa Monica embarked on the preparation of a new plan for downtown, now called the Downtown Community Plan, in recognition, I hope, that there is a community in downtown and that downtown is part of a larger community. One American downtown, 135 years of change. One thing I believe, Santa Monica's founders would be happy. Santa Monica is not itself a metropolis or the center of one, but it's far from being irrelevant. Instead of a harbor or heavy industry, Santa Monica is a center for the entertainment industry, for high tech, healthcare, and tourism. Santa Monica's downtown is thriving with both businesses and residents, just as the founders intended. I also believe that Santa Monica's downtown provides a vision for a post-sprawl, post-industrial city. Its evolution shows that entropy is not inevitable, that centrifugal forces can be resisted. Cities once ruined can recoalesce. In the years since 2010, controversy has arisen about the future of downtown Santa Monica, primarily because after more than 30 years, economic and other changes, including residential growth, but also factors such as downtowns becoming the center of Silicon Beach and downtowns becoming a magnet for international tourism, as the middle classes of the world have grown wings, have prompted several developers and property owners to challenge the decisions made in the 80s to reduce the maximum heights of buildings. I haven't myself made any categorical decisions about building heights. However, one thing I'm sure of is that no generation in the history of Santa Monica has felt itself constrained by what prior generations decided. Those decisions, as I hope this talk has illustrated, were sometimes good and sometimes bad. But each generation has done what it believed was best at and for the time. So I'll leave you with this picture, just to remind us how lucky we are.